Uh, the situation with sugarcane aphids is, I think, is really amazing. Over the last few years, it went from being a huge crisis to this year we're finding them in some some sorghum fields, but they're at really low levels. And I think it's because of the widespread adoption by producers both in Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas of adopting resistant varieties and maybe altering their planting timing a little bit so that they're planting a little bit earlier. And so this has gone from a major pest to, yeah, it's something that we've seen this year, but it hasn't shown up in any kind of numbers at all to be concerned about.
So while that the sugarcane aphids aren't really have been an issue, some producers who double crop soybean after canola are having some issues with chinch bugs.
Yes, they did. I had several producers that had false chinch bugs, which really like canola. When the canola gets harvested, they don't have anything to eat, so they tended to move over into soybeans that were double planted. And as those seedlings were coming up, they were just attacking them and glomming onto them to the point where seedlings were struggling to get started growing, and they had to be treated. The same kind of issues kind of happen with sorghum when it's planted after wheat. True chinch bugs they're in wheat, and then they move into sorghum, and sorghum's pretty sensitive to them. So we've had some issues this year with producers having some chinch bug issues that are causing a little bit of injury to their sorghum as it's trying to grow and get bigger.
So the storm just moved through here, and in some parts of the state's getting a lot of rain. Some parts of the states are still pretty dry. How does rain impact, or lack thereof, impact crops in regards to insects?
Well, adequate rain, of course, makes the crops healthy and they can withstand pests. When they're under stress from drought, from lack of water, that also makes them a little more susceptible to pests attacking them. And then we have insects like grasshoppers that tend to do better under dry conditions, especially if you have dry conditions year after year. It allows them to build up and escape some of the diseases and the things that typically knock them back. The biggest issues with grasshoppers is timing of any kind of application. There are some products that work pretty well on them, but if a producer has control over large areas, there are some really effective products that aren't very hard on other natural enemies or birds or anything that are in the area, especially in rangeland, where they can spray a product in strips. The grasshoppers move back and forth, and you can reduce them that way, and it's a fairly inexpensive way to control them. But the producer has to have access to pretty large areas to be able to have that be effective.
Alrighty, thanks, Tom. And if you would like a link to any of that information that Tom talked about, go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.